Mike, did, today is January 28th. I'm calling our Borough of Conshohocken Authority meeting to order. Just for the minutes, can we indicate that we had an executive session on December 17th to speak about personnel matters, and another executive session on January 7th to work through additional personnel issues? Okay, let us stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, since this is the first meeting in January, we do a reorganization of our elected officers. But before we do that, let us do roll call for our board members. Shannon.
Jack Ambler.
Here.
Christine Bertino.
Here.
Carmen Chibber.
Here.
George Bass. Tina Sokolow.
And here. All right. So I would like to turn the mic over to our Borough Solicitor to talk about the election of our officers, nominating a chair.
Thank you, and I am turning on the button, but no light seems to be coming on, so I don't know if it's on. Yes, this is our annual reorganization meeting, where the board needs to appoint its officers for the coming year, appoint its professionals for the coming year, and establish its meeting dates, times, and locations. So the first order of business is to select a chair for the Borough of Conshohocken Authority for 2025. Do we have any nominations for chair for chair for 2025?
I nominate Tina Sokolowski.
I second that.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second that.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any questions or comments on the nomination? Is there any public comment on the nominations? No. All those in favor of Tina Sokolowski serving as Borough of Conshohocken Authority Chair for 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous, 4-0. Congratulations, and I will now turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you. All right. Continuing down the slate, we are looking for a nomination and appointment of our vice chair. Today, George sits in that role, or are you, Aparna?
No, I am the secretary
You're the
treasurer.
secretary treasurer. George is the vice chair. So we're looking for a nomination for the vice chair position. Anyone want to be the vice chair, or do we want to reappoint George in that role?
What does the vice chair do?
Chairs when the
Chair.
chair's not here.
Okay. Could make a motion for George. That position.
All right, I have one motion for George. Do I have a second?
I'd second that, yeah.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Skip a meeting.
That's right.
Motion carries. All right, George gets it. He's not here. Ne- Next up is a nomination for the secretary. Today, Aparna holds both the secretary and treasurer role. So we are doing the secretary first. Do I have a nomination for secretary?
What exactly does the secretary do?
Yeah, we're in the.
Michael, would you like to help us with what the positions do?
The secretary is signing all the minutes, and also will sign certain other documents when it is required that the board secretary sign. Sometimes if you're doing some financings or things along those lines, they will want the board secretary to attest that these things occurred at a particular meeting.
And then the treasurer?
Secretary does not keep the minutes, they just execute them.
And then the treasurer?
Treasurer, very similar, is one of the signers on the checks. Also, when we do certain things, the treasurer has to sign certain documents to certify that everything is in order with the authority's books. The treasurer does not keep the books. The treasurer does not write out any checks, but has signing authority on the checks and other matters.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Do we have a nomination for secretary?
I guess I'd prefer secretary over treasurer if I had to do either, but I'd be happy if you guys were interested in doing doing those positions too.
So you would want to be what?
If I had to be any of them, I guess I'd choose secretary.
Okay, so I'll
Nominate
nominate
Jack.
you.
All right.
So I have a nomination for Jack to be secretary. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, I have,
Thanks.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Jack is the secretary. And lastly, we have treasurer. Do I have a nomination for treasurer?
You will break and I'll.
Sure. I'll nominate Christine Bertino.
I have a motion for Christine.
I'll second it.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have our slate. And just for those watching, we function as a full board, so these are really just kind of role positions that are required for the organization of our authority.
Except for yours.
Yeah, y'all jumped wanting to do that when I saw that. All right, next up is the appointment of our professionals. So this evening, we're looking to appoint or reappoint a solicitor. And that solicitor is Michael Clark, and you have a new name now.
We do. We are now Clark, Gallagher, Barbiero, Amuso, and Glassman.
So looking for a motion to reappoint the solicitor, all those names.
Make the motion to reappoint.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I think this will be our 18th year with the authority. It has been a pleasure, and we look forward to working with all of you again this year.
And then the next item is to appoint a consultant engineer. And this evening, we are looking to reappoint Ebert Engineering in the role as our consultant engineer.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Ebert Engineering.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
All right. Next item on the agenda is to establish our meeting dates for 2025. Let's see. Do we have a copy of the dates in the packet? Okay, but they are online? Okay.
Yeah.
And they are the, what, Tuesday of the
So
month?
the fourth Tuesday of the month, except the December meeting and I believe the November meeting were changed
Okay.
to, I want to say it's the third Tuesday.
And they were changed for the holiday.
They were changed for the holiday.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to accept the establishment of the meeting dates as the fourth Thursday of the month, with the exception
Fourth
of,
Tuesday.
or I'm sorry, Tuesday of the month, with the exception of November and December based on the holiday, and they will be posted on our website.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, I think that's all the New Year's business that we have this evening. So before we get started, do we have any public comment related to any of the agenda items this evening? Hearing no public comment, we'll move right along. So we have no guests for this evening, no presentations, so we'll move right into the approval of the meeting minutes. So I am looking for approval of the December 17th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve them, the meeting minutes from last meeting.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the report section of our agenda, and the first section of reports are our financial reports. Does anyone have any questions related to the accounts payable reports for December and January? So we have two different reports in there. One that finishes December of 2024, and then one that is January 2025.
The only thing I was curious on is, I know last year we had kind of looked into the fact that we're paying bills for AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon, and I know Verizon is a alarm line, but have we looked into,
Ed was looking into that, so I'm not sure. But I will check with him.
Yeah, if we could do a follow-up on that, just for consolidation.
I will check with Ed.
and have we, I meant to kind of look into it.
I meant to look into it as well. We had talked about potentially bringing back a discount. I don't know if this is the right place to talk about it, but do we know what other authorities do?
I have not gotten into that yet.
Okay,
I was more focusing on trying to get the ACH to, so I've
Right.
gotten a couple in. We're gonna try that next month.
For ACH,
Yeah, I've gotten about 10
forms in?
forms in, so I'm gonna try them next month and see how that goes.
All right, so Mike, is that a discussion that we would have in a public session to work through that?
Yes,
All right, so maybe we can put that discussion on either February or March's
For the discounts,
minutes
yep.
to kind of work through.
and I would imagine between Brent, Fred, and I, we can probably get you 10 to 12 authorities about what they do. So
Okay.
you have a sense of what they do. So as we get here for February, we'll all ask our other authorities where we where we don't overlap, so.
Okay. All right.
I guess it's primarily for like older residents and maybe people who are financially struggling type of.
What it normally is to get people to pay earlier on.
Okay.
So that way, it gives them a discount, kind of like your taxes. If you pay before this, you pay that. If not, there's a penalty.
Okay.
I think that's where it is. I did just run into the first time I've ever seen it, not only a senior discount, but actually a veterans discount for military people. The max of 20 township. Never seen that before in my life. But we'll bring you the options, and I would say that almost all of my clients have gone away from discounts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they've almost all gotten rid of them all.
They have, and I think what most of them have found is that the only ones who are really taking advantage of it are sort of like some of the bigger businesses or bigger apartment buildings or things like that. And the percentages are pretty significant when it's a really big commercial or residential user. And they do find that the average person isn't, especially those who are struggling, really aren't taking advantage of it. Yeah.
Right, and that's what the problem was with our discount, because ours was a flat $4, and it wasn't fair across the board for, like, the grade.
Yeah.
Or something.
But they would stand to have a bigger discount if you made it
If it was a percentage.
fair.
Right.
And then what ends up happening is then you have to raise your rates artificially to make up for the discount. Because at the end of the day, you need X amount of money coming in. That's why a lot of people have gotten rid of it.
Because my thought was, by me paying my bill early, I'm getting less interest on my money. You have the money in your account longer. I mean, not that interest is, making anybody retire on it, but it's still, you have the money before, and they're losing the money earlier. So to me, that is the,
Is there a benefit for you guys to get, I guess for the first month, it might be good, you guys get extra cash flow that month, and then it'd
yeah,
be
and sending people to
the
pay
same
early.
anyway.
Yeah, but
So, yeah.
it's due within.
Can we look at the numbers of how many people, how many individuals, because we could separate out, and I don't want to belabor this because we have research to do on it, residential versus commercial properties,
I can separate residential and commercial.
and then see how many were taking advantage of the discount.
Yeah, are
Is
you
that
able
harder
to
to
do that?
do?
Because we're out of the new system.
As of right now, I cannot do that because they are working on rebuilding the Harris system. Because when the server crashed a couple
All
months ago.
that data is gone.
Right, so our Harris system is not, they're working on restoring it, but
We don't know.
I'm not sure when it's going to be back up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you guys could bring back some options, potential options that would be out there, then we could do the financial models on them and see if it is something that we could at least look at or work towards, if it makes sense for the budget. Okay. Any other questions related to our financial reports?
I just want to point out on the bill list that it is $9,000 that we paid to GB collection.
Yep, is that better?
Yeah.
So there was a GB Collect payment. That was actually for the September health insurance payment that I've been trying to fight with them to get for months, and they sent it to collections, and the only way that I could pay it was to pay it through collections. There was no fees to pay it through collections, but I had to pay it through GB Collect. It didn't affect our insurance. Everything is still intact. They had a problem with their system when they updated the system.
So it was a bill that never made it to us?
It was a bill
And
that-
then the only way they could collect it was through a collections agency,
the-
not through a
That's
delayed
correct.
payment?
Right.
Okay.
Even though I've called them every month asking for this invoice.
But we assessed no fees on
There's
it?
no fees. It was just the amount of the invoice.
Any other?
Was there anything else you wanted to hit on the highlights?
I don't think so. I mentioned the ACHs, so, and the liens were finally processed, so I can work on liens again.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. Ladies, okay? All right, hearing no other questions or comments, I'm looking for a motion to approve the December totals in the amount of $25,056.94, and then the January invoices at, sorry, just trying to find my other circle. $107,694.40. This is spending money, so we will take a roll call vote, please, Shannon?
Christine Bertino,
Yes.
Jack Ambler,
Yes.
Aparna Chibber,
Yes.
Tina Sokolow.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is our solicitor's report this evening.
You have to approve the financial.
I always do that.
Make a motion to approve the financial report.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up is the solicitor's report. Looks like we have a few items. in
Thank
the
you. We do have
solic-
some action items this evening, and I believe there's an exec session to discuss a couple of items. I don't know, Brent, if you want to do that towards, I don't think we're not taking any action, so we can do them at the end of the meeting. So the first item you have for your consideration this evening is a resolution to release the maintenance, security, and professional escrow for a project located at 51 Washington Street. The developer is 51 Washington L/Cal LLC, and any particulars about the status of the project or the maintenance security can be directed at Brent or Fred.
I guess since it's on the list, you guys have.
They're all done.
You're all happy with.
Yep, they're all
what's
done
that?
through maintenance, dedicated. Give them their money back.
Good as well, Brent, for that? Yep. That's sweet. Cool.
Do you want to do the motions in between, or you want to do them all rolled up?
We can do them all at the same time if you'd like.
Yep.
The second item is a resolution to release the maintenance, security, and professional escrow for a project located at 101 Washington Street, Conshohocken, known as Matson Mill Apartments. The developer is High Street Conshohocken 1 LLC. And again, any questions about it are best directed at Fred and Brent.
Same thing, they're all done. That's kind of the sister one right in front of it. We're all connected through the maintenance period, have their maintenance bonds, punch lists, all completed.
Awesome. Good with that as well? Yes. Sweet.
Next, we have 3 employment agreements for your consideration. One is the approval of the employment agreement for the operations manager, Edward F. Mongan III. One is the approval of the employment agreement for the finance director, Shannon Stewart. One is the approval of the employment agreement for office manager, Linda, and I bungle her name every year, Usoletti.
Usoletti.
Usoletti. Yeah, they're pretty good. And finally, the final item is the approval of the consulting agreement for executive director, True Blue Environmental Services LLC, which is Brent Wagner's company. If there are any questions regarding the employment agreements, if you have any issues, anything you want to discuss, we can go into executive session to discuss those. Otherwise, the board can take these all as one motion and one acceptance.
Any questions on any of the employment agreements that we would need to do in exec session?
You guys talked about this last time, right? On the call in January? I missed the call in January, sorry. This wasn't anything. to do with
There's
this.
no material changes from what I could tell from the prior agreements. Yeah.
The call in January wasn't anything about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so
So I'll make a motion to,
let's do two different motions. Let's first do the motions for the resolutions 1 and 2 for the release of the maintenance and security professional escrow for 101 Washington Street and 51 Washington Street.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and then the second motion would be the employment agreements for the operations manager, Ed Mungan, the approval for the finance director, Shannon Stewart, the agreement for the office manager, Linda Usiletti, and then the agreement for the consulting services through True Blue Environmental Services. I have a motion to accept the employment agreements.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Before we,
That concludes our report.
okay, wonderful. So before we move off of the solicitor's report,
Make a motion to accept the solicitor's report.
go. I have a motion.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. This is a slowpoke
yeah.
read.
Brain is working a little slow.
All right. Next item on the agenda is our engineer's report. Welcome back, Fred. We haven't seen you in a
Yeah, I know, I missed 2 months in a row. So we shortened up the engineer's report, so we can just hit the highlights, that way I don't think you need a history. If you ever want history on a project, let me know, and, it's obviously safe. Very ecstatic with the progress we made with Keystone Engineering Group. I actually got their first draft set of plans. They also included a memo. Some of the things they're asking is operational things that aren't necessarily engineering. One of their questions was, they wanted me to highlight, and I'm working with the staff, critical loads that cannot be out of commission during construction. So this can be down for an hour while we switch out. This can never be down. Right now, we have, because the system's matured, we'll have a motor starter in the MCC and a wall-mounted VFD. Do we want to put them in the new MCC all together so that way we aren't running conduits back and forth? And then the last one is really, and I'm going to have to get a cost for this of construction or maybe an alternate, is right now we aren't set up for SCADA. So we could run additional wires and contacts that don't exist today, so we would be set up for SCADA in the future. And what I call it running it all to a terminal port. So SCADA gives them the ability to remotely monitor things. We don't have to remotely control it, but at least remotely monitor it. And that way Brent can be, someplace else, up in Boyertown and be able to see it. If the cost isn't too much, I think we would be remiss not to put those wires in and set us up to use technology instead of labor in the future. So we got that. They have a similar list of questions for the influent pump station. I did not get the drawings yet for the influent pump station. They're both were due the end of February or the end of January. I said, listen, really help me if you give me something that I can show and meet with the operator. So they got me these on January 14th, influent pump station. They're on track for the end, but I said, concentrate on this because the influent pump station kind of is a sister to this and is implemented. So let's get this straightened out. We have until September 26th is when our grant runs out. But obviously, I want to get this done because it's seasonal. Like, you don't want to be doing this, when we have higher flows. So with that, other just real quick updates. We're working on Chapter 94s. The liner project, which I was worried the contractor was going to kind of sue us, said on the change order, which we denied 4 times, I'm done. Here's your maintenance bond. Send me the check. I said, give me the maintenance bond. I'll give you your last check. We're all good. We're all good. So we resolved it. There are a few items. There's one little leak that they repaired. I don't think they repaired it 100%, that we're gonna monitor any maintenance period. And then just some minor stuff of things that I have on the engineers, on the developers thing, is really, they're almost reminders for me. But just that way you guys know, like, the maintenance period, it is gonna, has completed, and when other ones are out. Trying to wrap up Echo Ridge, and Spring Mill, we're basically done. Ty went out, relayed everything. I just need a surveyor to get me the as-built. But other than that, it's been, pretty much a lot of small projects have been going through. And for whatever reason, they have really been cleaning up a lot of the developments. We've gotten a lot of, and the maintenance period, a lot of things that were kind of lingering, this slow time during the winter, the contractors just jumped on stuff, and we were able to close it out, so. That completes my report unless the board has any questions.
I do have a question. I don't know if it's for you or the solicitor. With the announcement of the freeze of the funds coming from the feds, do we think that that will affect our state grants that have been already approved and getting the dollars that flow through?
So,
I know it's
obviously,
early.
This has been a very big topic of conversation today. We've spoken to a couple of state representatives who do not feel that any grants, state grants that have previously been approved will be impacted unless, and here's the big unless they were getting some of their funding from the federal government. If any of that is going to be held up, it may impact it, but they think the majority of the state grants do not involve federal funding, so they should not be impacted.
So the state's going to basically look at all of the grants and then identify which ones could potentially to let us know?
If there's federal funding involved, and kind of some of the areas you get involved in federal funding is if you have if it's some transportation grants or some highway grants or things along those lines. We don't think most of those will impact us. We think they could, they may have some impact, but as of right now, everyone's trying to figure out what it means, because no one's 100% sure what the executive order exactly means, so.
The H2O grant program was funded through gambling money. So
Okay.
it was statewide
So it's
gambling
state.
money. That funded both that and the local shares. So I don't know about any other programs other than those. So I know my water.
That's the
and
one I'm
wastewater.
worried about.
Yeah, me too.
I have a question about the being able to remote access. Is there, what level of security is there with that?
There are tons of levels of security. There are two ways that there's many versions of SCADA. So one version is that you can monitor it only remotely and you can't change anything. There are other versions where you could actually turn a pump on and off. And there are much higher levels of, there's all kinds of firewalls and protections that are put in. And there are certain things that are locked out that can't be done, or they have to put a password code in so that only Brent can do it, but not Ed, or not Keith, you know what I mean? And so there are many levels of that. Most of my authorities have this concern from a security, cyber, so they usually start out doing remote, monitoring only. So they can see what's going on, but really can't. The full remote monitoring is almost like the way remote work from home is. You can sit at your house and you see what your desktop looks like, on the server. And you can also limit that to, you can't change anything from a process, or you can't turn off a pump, but you could turn on a pump. You could acknowledge an alarm, but not. So that is, if we were to decide in the future, I think you're gonna go to a SCADA at some point. I mean, that's where we're going. Labor costs are gonna keep on going up. You might as well take advantage of the technology. I have a lot of my authorities mature. And really what I say is, let's do the SCADA and feel how comfortable you are. The PADP offers a course right now where they go in and try to break it. Many of my authorities go through IT audits, where they actually bring a firm in that looks at your weaknesses, makes those recommendations, tries to break in. And more of that is for, a lot of that's done for the accounting and billing side of it, but it's the same thing, that you have here. So I just want to plant the seed to, let's run the wires so that we can do this. We don't have the money in the grant. But, and then I think it'll be the comfort of the board, and we'll let you know the options, and also the operators, what the operators are there with. I'm a little bit old school, that when I get an alarm, I want my guys going out there and seeing it, because the alarm may be the symptom and not the problem. So I kind of want them to go out and see it.
I'll just jump in. His last statement is the way I am. Because we can get in, I can go in all these in the house about a problem, a pump station, we could have a fire out there, and the fire, we have fire alarms and everything else, we can do that. But hearing, seeing, it's the most important part, and as long as we have staff that are, we have to be a half an hour or less, it's not gonna really affect us. We're not gonna get inside the plant, this is just pump station. I believe we just need to analyze what's going on, get the people in, and then eventually, he's right, in 10 years, you're probably gonna go that way. But right now,
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about functionality, like, I get that. I just mean to prevent a hacker from getting in. What kind of insurance is there? And if a hacker does get in, what recourse do we have? Is it against the company who is providing this ability? Or is it our own insurance? Like, what's the liability and
I
who's
know like on
responsible?
billing, there's actually insurances that you buy. You actually buy an insurance policy on that. On operational, from, someone going in, I don't know that I've got an experience. I don't think there's insurance, and I don't think you can go after, chance of going after a hacker, but you can't go after a SCADA company,
I don't necessarily mean, I mean repercussions if we get hacked.
Yeah,
There are
I-
repercussions to the
I
public.
think you bring up a good point, that we just got a new financial system, we're getting some new technology. It may be beneficial to plan for a future risk assessment, to look at everything, to then give us some recommendations once we get everything kind of up and live under the guidance
I'd
of.
rather be proactive than trying to clean up a mess.
One of the things that a lot of my authorities do that's really great, Shannon's gonna shoot me, but the executive director comes in and he says, computers are fried. You gotta do a cold start and work remotely and bring our billing system back up from the cloud. And that panic thing is great. That way, when it happens, you dry run
It
it.
doesn't look like it's
you
great.
know, and can you pull it up, and can you get operational? Can you do your DMRs? Can you do those things?
Do you have multi-factor authentication up and running for remote stuff?
Yeah,
On
so
our
when I log in remotely, there's more than one step to get in. It's not.
Whoever does our cyber insurance probably will do that assessment for us if we ask them to come in. And it may be at no charge or a very minimal charge, but if you want to ask them to come in and do an assessment of your system, you can. The problem with that is if they come in and they identify certain issues and then you don't make those upgrades, then there may be exclusions to your policy moving forward.
But we do have a cyber insurance, I guess to your question.
I believe we do. We don't? I'm pretty sure we do.
I'm assuming it's part of the property and.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
yeah,
it's in there,
Can we just confirm?
Yeah, we can.
but
We actually got an email from
We
our
just got the
insurance
renewal.
broker today because they forwarded over all the information for review. I haven't taken a look at it yet, but we can double check that.
Because I'm all for using technology.
It's using it responsibly and understanding what the risks are. And like I say, it takes a while to grow, but the advantage is a large majority of treatment plants have it on some level. And then it's a matter of what you are. But like Brent Still said, is that like, you can get a pump alarm and the guy just resets it. The pump was on fire. And you don't realize that if you don't get out there, there's more to it than that.
That's less of my concern.
Than getting into your billing schedule. And there's clients that in Bucks County that got hacked.
Yeah.
There is.
George was all on that with the first set of, with the financial system, wasn't he?
I know he asked, we had
Yeah,
questions
he
about
was-
it, I don't know if his questions were, concerns were.
And George, we had met numerous meetings about
Yes.
security.
Yes.
There's like,
Yeah, I thought
think
that
2 or
was a
3
hot spot
meetings
for
of security
George.
with Cassell and everyone else.
I know it's a hot spot for me.
Yeah. So,
I'd just say that the remote viewing of the PLC or SCADA system is like, that's like, very,
Like
very
read-only
safe and,
kinda.
yeah, it's like, so that one, so I definitely agree,
I
get
get
this
that,
stuff
but
in.
there's always
But
hackers that can outsmart technology.
Yeah.
I'd say that like maybe 95% of municipalities have something like that, like a remote view, something like that, or maybe even more than that, but,
And the advantage that I have is that I can then, somebody else, I can also give remote to like a pump manufacturer or a control vendor. They can do that. They don't got to drive all out here. They can troubleshoot and actually see what's going on in my system. You know, a lot of my more advanced biological systems, I'll have, you know, the actual treatment plant manufacturer.
That
We did
actually
it.
makes me more nervous because third-party hacking is more relevant and,
Well, it's a secure
Frequent.
line that's only between them and they own the, it's usually proprietary, but it's a risk. There is. You
I
know,
mean,
anytime you open up
Target
the
had a
door,
breach of security. It
there's
was
a
a
risk.
third party. It wasn't Target.
yeah.
right.
I'd say short term, I mean, do a quick analysis of our plant. There's nothing that requires us to other than see. But 15 years from now, when all these regulations modify probably in the 30s, when he talks about his technology, I'm sure you're talking about Chesapeake Bay area, you're gonna be technically based where you're gonna be operating on precision all the time. Our limits are fair right now, but they'll get more technically stringent, probably mid-2035, 2035, in that area,
Yeah.
which we're
I'm-
10 years out.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Like, I love technology. I know it can make things better, but I just caution that we do it.
I'm still a seer. I'd rather
Educated.
just see the data, get someone in.
So
I'm a
we're just
nerd.
gonna lay lines, not connect anything.
That's it. I'm gonna ask them to give me a cost estimate of how much is that additional copper, but when we're putting it in, I think it makes all the sense in the world, but it's still dollars and cents. You know, so I'm just saying that that's something that they brought up. I appreciated them bringing up and being forward-thinking as part of their design, rather than just say, we're just gonna replace what you got.
It's just like Cat 7 versus Cat 9 or 11, you just,
Yeah, and like
You
the thing that
upgrade it.
I learned, like fiber optic line, I didn't realize fiber optic line only lasts 20 years. I thought you put fiber in, it was good forever. Put fiber in, it's no good in 20 years. I'm like, holy crap, I've got hundreds of miles of this in that I didn't fully realize that it's no good in 20 years, it degrades.
interesting.
So there's a lot of options there of we've kind of learned by being people on the cutting edge, kind of realize that 20 years later wasn't that long ago.
And I definitely agree, like, when you do, yeah, certainly when we get to that stage, and we want to make sure all that security stuff, but again, yeah, what does the operations team actually want? Make sure it's coming from
And even
them.
if they don't want it today, let's give them the options for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, I like this, I think this is a good idea, for sure. If they've got if they've got the money, so.
Any other questions or concerns?
So the Chapter 94 reports, so is that submitted?
No. I actually didn't get the data yet. They have till the end of the month to submit their discharge monitoring reports. So then kind of February 1, as soon as they get them done, I'll get them in. They're due March 31st. I will go over them with you at your February meeting.
Okay.
Because quite honestly, it's too late in the March meeting, you know, I mean,
Yep.
it's due 3 days later. Obviously, I usually hold them till 2 or 3 days before there, but we'll go over all those. That's just kind of a placeholder, and, you know, I followed up with Brent today, just now that the operators are done, give me all their data so we can enter it.
Any other questions on the engineer's report this evening? All right, hearing no other questions, do I have a motion to approve the engineer's report?
Make the motion?
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the operation manager's report.
Oh, on behalf of Ed, handle that for him.
Thank
He's out
you.
due to sickness tonight. As you can see, it's a new operation report, just like Fred was mentioning. We're trying to make things more simple. that's readable. This is just a start of the new operations report that Ed's and I, well, I work with Ed generating it. So just feel free to look at it. We'll be adding more data points, but it's a short, quick methodology to look at what the highlights are of the plant.
Helpful to you?
Huh?
Is it helpful to you as well?
Yeah, we're making things simple. Just keep it, it's appealing. You can read it quick, get the data points and move on.
I like it.
One note of 2 items that, we have obviously had brutal cold weather, which is actually normal for this time of year. Plant's faring very well. What benefits to us is most of, the RBCs are covered up, which keeps our thermal energy in. I know other facilities are having difficulty with this temperature. It's been brutal. I can't recall it being this cold for
Not 15 years.
yeah, 20 years. Plant's working well, and as you saw, when I informed the board last week, I think it was Friday, one of the days last week, we had a water main break that failed next to our sewer line, failed about 12 feet of our line. We had a contractor show up quickly. We had it repaired in 3-4 hours. The borough worked in conjunction. I got a call from the borough manager. Everyone worked out very well, and got repaired. When the line blew up, when the water main blew up, it hit our line and sent water down below to Spring Mill, blew up a manhole there. When Ed sent me video of that occurring first, and I said, Ed, we have a water main break somewhere in town. And he's like, well, how can you tell just by a video? I said, it's on top of the hill, and it just blew up and went, well, the water's gonna find the easiest way out. Went into our sewer line. We had everything repaired by the end of that evening, within 4 or 5 hours. So it went very well. I mean, and then we had a lateral fail, those we helped repair as well. And I'll explain in executive session what's going on with that. But everything worked very well. Team with the borough, us, Aqua, contractor.
Great.
Love it. That's
I was expecting it not to be fair. I mean, with that cold night, I think we were going down to single digits that night.
It was cold.
I was concerned that we were not going to get it done appropriately, but it worked out very well.
And I know you said you called it into the DP or whatever, and they,
We provided since we had a sanitary sewer overflow related to the aqua water going in the line, we had to do a SSO. And we informed them, we informed DEP immediately when we saw it. And then we followed up with our report as well to them.
you don't expect anything from that, right? That should be.
I would hope not. I mean.
Yeah, I would hope not as well.
No, 90% of the time, I did actually have the last 2 that happened, they actually came out there, but there's never I should say never. There's not normally, and what they're worried about is really just making sure that it's cleaned up afterwards.
Yeah.
That what they're worried about is some kid or dog walking down the street and there's wastewater that was there, that as soon as it's done, that you're washing it out. If it's a continued long-term, that you're filtering it before it gets into the storm sewer. And if not, I actually have to have guys go out now and power wash it after we're done. We throw a lime down, we power wash it, and, DEP usually wants to see that.
Yeah, so we did all that. And then one final note, if you saw the picture, Ed wanted to just explain it, like, this is the picture shows brackets on our gravity thickener that failed. You can see the top item. We are capable of getting some of the manufacturer. Our staff actually made these parts themselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they engineer these
Yeah, so
themselves?
we actually did it ourselves. We did the repair, but just shows the capability of our staff that we got good maintenance people that can do welding and retrofit stuff.
What's the mechanical thickening?
Yeah, it's a gravity thickener.
This is a gravity thickener. The notes say look into mechanical thickening. What is?
What's it different?
Gravity thickener to belt filler press, which is mechanical
Yeah.
thickener.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
That's
I'm looking at
big
the
stilling well.
improvements. Look into mechanical thickening, digester sludges instead of gravity.
No.
No? Okay. Never mind.
It's just a picture, I mean, if you look at his report, it's showing a photo of the gravity.
No, sorry, I jumped ahead. I'm in the operations status report.
Oh, that's
I
mine,
jumped-
that's for me.
I jumped
Yeah.
ahead, sorry.
You're jumping in mine.
Sorry.
You're looking at my future.
No, I'm one step ahead.
I don't have that one in this section.
Sorry. Ignore me.
That's my future concept that we're looking at.
Okay.
That completes my report on behalf of Ed, and other than commercial renewal insurance. Have you-
Yes. We just have to, so we got the renewal for the commercial insurance policy. The policy starts over on 2/1. Last year, it was $107,620. This year, it's $121,886 with inflation and the pipe break that we had at the plant. Other than that, nothing has changed in the policy. It's just,
What percent is that of increase? 20%, that's pretty, on the high side.
it is on the high side. We did have the claim, so I don't know if that's the main.
The one that just happened?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
I know,
the
I've seen
other
it.
one.
The big one where we had to
Okay.
redo that whole room.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay. Well,
It was like you said 127 and 103
It's like
before?
12%, 12, 13%.
It's 121,
Yeah.
121,886, and it was 107,620. I don't have my
Yeah,
phone.
Like
so-
13%.
13%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12 to 13.
Okay,
That's a
that's
little
better than
better.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cost to doing business, right? Okay. Do
So-
you need an approval
Yes.
for that? A motion to approve? Okay.
Did we approve the operations managers?
Well, this is all part of it.
Is all part
This
of
is
it.
all part of it.
Yep.
Sorry, I thought
No,
this
that's
was,
okay.
had to be done separate.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the 2025 commercial property insurance increase and contract? Do we have a copy of the contract?
This is the, yes, that was what was sent.
That was sent
I
in
emailed it on
separate.
Friday.
Okay. All right. Any other questions related to the commercial insurance?
Michael, do you review that, or?
We do
Okay.
when it was sent over, and I'm actually looking at it now. I just wanted to give you a little bit more background, but we take a look at it.
Yeah,
Yep.
nothing
Yep.
crazy that pops up.
Just so you know, our broker, Travelers, reached out to Travelers, they provided a quote. Selective declined to quote because of our loss history. Chubb declined to quote, would not compete with renewal loss history. Liberty Mutual declined to quote because of our loss history. Philadelphia Insurance declined to quote because of our loss history. So that is kind of consistent with what we were saying about the big break that we had, so.
Ken, if you want to.
And would this be the insurance policy that would have insurance on hacking and
And that's what
cyber?
I'm looking at now.
I don't see it, but that doesn't mean it's not in there.
They give us another note on the.
And they may use a different term.
Just that's another one. Just to
I didn't see cybersecurity. I know how insurance companies like to have a name for everything that is included in there, or just say what's not included.
It includes employee theft, forgery or alteration, computer fraud, funds transfer fraud. But
Computer fraud does not.
It's not spelled
yeah,
out.
I don't think that's cyber liability.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Would it be in the software contract that we get? I
That's
don't.
what I'm wondering.
That's what I thought initially.
Normally a separate policy, kind of the same thing that has like the board members' liability. There's usually other policies other than property.
Like, what constitutes a wrongful act? Like, there's $1 million for each wrongful act,
Probably by staff,
not by outsiders.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't, it's not good insurance.
So do we think we're ready to consider the travelers, awarding travelers? Do we still have additional questions?
February 1st.
Sounds like we don't have too many options, right?
Right.
Oh, it is,
Everybody
it
else
is,
declined.
it is.
February 1st is when it renews.
I forgot, that's next week.
It's
All right.
this week.
That's
It's in a few days.
in a few days. Oh, yeah.
We
that's-
don't have other options.
Saturday.
So we have no other
Thank
options.
God, January's ending.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Are we able to open it if we identify additional, the cyber, or
You could always add.
Add it.
You can always
Yeah.
add, and I just emailed them and asked them what the story is with our cyber liability insurance, so hopefully we'll hear back. And if I hear back before we're done tonight, I'll let you know. If not, I'll let you know when I hear back.
But I agree with Brent, it's probably something that if we don't have, it could be added.
Okay. So are we comfortable awarding the renewal to Travelers since we have no other options at this point?
I am.
And that doesn't really feel good that there's no other options because we had a major break.
It is understandable.
It's almost
like
like
if you have a-
Florida fires, there's no fire insurance.
Maybe going on, I don't know.
But if you had a car accident, try to change your insurance carrier the next year. You're never gonna do it. Nobody's gonna take it.
Got it. Okay. All right. With that, do I have a motion to renew Travelers Insurance for 2025 with the 13-ish% increase?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
And then do we have to also?
and now
approve
we'll, a motion to accept the operations manager's report into the minutes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the operations manager's report.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is our executive director's report.
So here we're talking about technology, as Fred was talking. Our digesters, I see, we maintained less loads per month for the entire year, even with December being cold. Which leads us into, there is PICO grants that are, we can work, I'm having conversation with changing our blowers over and put VFDs on them and using dissolved oxygen sensors to reduce our carbon footprint, our kilowatt usage. Instead of running full max all the time the way we are right now, we don't need all that air, which we had in a circumstance a couple weeks ago when it's just so cold, we get better oxygen transfer. We don't need these units. So I'll be working in conjunction with PICO, coming and doing an analysis on our current kilowatt usage, do like a 6-month analysis, and then once we determine that kilowatt usage, we give a recommendation, we want to buy these VFDs with DO, then they give us grants. And the money's available there to do that. It could be a couple, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to do this, that they will pay us for a VFD because it lowers our kilowatt usage. So we'll be looking at that.
Do you have any idea what you're running that digester right now at?
What's that?
Do you have any idea what you're running the digester at now for
We-
DO?
They're well over 2 right now because it's so cold.
Yeah, but. you think
We don't
it's-
need
you
over
think it's
2.
like 8? Or you think
Yeah,
it's just-
it's probably 8
Yeah.
in that range. As you know, we're gonna be still looking, we use a gravity thickener, which I'd like to see our concentration go up higher, which gives us longer detention times. The gravity thickener is, we could add chemicals, but we're looking at, like you mentioned, looking at gravity, mechanical means. We're gonna look at everything. The goal is long detention times, which reduces our footprint going out the door of sludge. We can do better. We did 4 loads in December, maybe we can do 2. And the costs are only gonna go up. I mean, Fred, you know what's gonna go up. They're projected, the tons are gonna be $400 a ton.
That's the single biggest thing everybody's doing right now. And the goal is minimize the number of loads going out and your polymer.
Yep. So we're gonna look at every means as we go through it, as with our consultant. I'll get Fred involved, but we will do everything to put us in position in the next 5 to 10 years that we do better. And it's just, we have more EDUs, we're still producing less sludge. And this, don't expect it January, January we're putting more loads out because it's so cold. You're just not breaking down anything right now. It just,
The bugs need to eat each other, and the bugs are basically cold
Yeah.
organisms, so they eat less.
Where would you get funding for something like that? Do you think that, would you have something we can apply for funding for if we wanted to change out into mechanical, you know what I mean? I'm just curious.
there's funding, I'd work with his office, if there's grants out there. We determine that we're gonna save energy, just like PICO working these VFDs, there's ways you can get funds.
Even if, yeah, because it'd be like total mass removal of.
The key to it is volatile solids reduction.
Yeah.
Getting down your 38, getting it down to 62% volatile solids, and then just getting the water out.
Yep.
They're your real 2 keys. Because even now, if we send that out 20% solids, that means we're still paying for 80% water.
It'd probably help with the Class B stuff at the same time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The problem there is PFAs, being able to put it, land apply it, or put it out on the long-term liability, because, I'll tell you right now, land applying, $28 a ton. A little landfill is about $174 a ton. That's a big difference there. And a lot of it in between is going up to strip mine reclamation. And that's really popular in Schuylkill. The problem we have is we're far from everything, but with PFAs and long-term liability, fortunately, I thought we were going all land application 3 years ago. Now I'd say we're going all landfills because we're just scared of putting it out there and being responsible.
PFAS, you mean PFAS?
Yes, PFAS, getting from the sludge, getting into the groundwater, and then contaminating, and now we're at deep pocket.
Well, we'll have to just follow the state guidances on that. It's not.
Oh, yeah,
It's
and
far,
and I think
coming
it's,
Yeah, definitely.
right
It's gonna
now,
take a while,
the
but
regulations haven't been, and the court cases haven't been established yet to know what your real liability is. And everyone's scared because they don't know what it's gonna be.
yes. Oh, you think even the municipality might gain liability for that, even though it's.
I don't know. That's
State
the
regulated, I
fear.
don't-
That's the fear.
Yeah, okay.
And are we keeping an open mind that while we're kind of banking on the grants from PICO, everybody's grants might be at risk?
You always look for grant opportunities, but you never count on them. You fund yourself so that you can self-fund it, and if you get a grant, awesome, just like we did with our capital budget.
And that's why with PICO, we're going to demonstrate what we're currently using, and then we'll say, this is our proposal, and that they will provide funds before we initiate it. There's a win-win for us. I mean, we will lower our footprint of kilowatt usage tremendously.
It just stinks that it's going to take about 6 months. God knows
It'll
what'll
probably take
happen
us
to
a year
grant
until we
money
get
in
to
6
that
months. Yeah.
So that concludes my update of the plant, and I'll turn over 75 Maple Street to Shannon for that part.
So 75 Maple, we were billing them individually instead of as the condo association. And we finally got it figured out where we're now billing them as the condo association, but there's about $456 of the individual homeowners that haven't paid. So we have to figure out, do we want to ask the homeowners to pay them? Do we go to the homeowners association, give them the list, have them
Legally,
deal with it? I don't know.
This is the old St. Mary's?
yeah,
Is that what this one is?
I think so.
I think so too.
You're asking the wrong, I grew up here, but I don't know.
But legally, can you ask the homeowners association if you've billed the individuals?
So we were billing,
We were billing the individual condos.
and now they've told us to,
Now, the stormwater was supposed to, every other condo in Conshohocken was being billed as the association, except 75 Maple. So we've now fixed 75 Maple to match the rest of the condos, but we can't go back and rebill the previous bills.
So these are people who they didn't pay their.
They didn't pay them, but the association may have been saying, hold off on it, we're working on it, like, we've had, conversations.
Oh, I see, so they may not have, okay.
Did some pay?
There's 6 of them that haven't paid.
and
6 out of
we
the
can
22.
identify the 6.
Yes,
Tell them to pay,
tell them to pay,
or
and
we'll wean
then,
them.
okay.
So, just so I'm clear,
I-
we were billing them individually. And now we're billing
The
the
association.
association.
It was a
Yeah, we can-
situation when we went off the records of Montgomery County, initially when we started the stormwater, it showed up in the records like this.
Okay.
And now we're finding these little caveats as with our stormwater, correcting the issues that we've had.
Is this only stormwater we're talking about?
It's stormwater,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, tell the 6 of them they gotta pay or they're gonna get.
Okay,
weaned.
so I will call the association and tell them to tell the homeowners
Yep,
to
and
pay
then-
their bills.
And then if they don't
And then
pay,
they'll
then
be
you just
even.
tell Eileen.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's literally, for each individual, it's $76. It's not It's not a huge bill.
And it's not fair to the people who did pay, if the
Right,
HOA.
well,
didn't.
because the other thing was the association gonna then reimburse the homeowners for
They
all
could
that
do
they
that
paid?
internally.
They could do
That's
that
their-
on their own.
Yeah, that's their-
So we'll tell them to pay it, and then if they want to reimburse the homeowners, that's how we'll,
And are the ones that didn't pay highlighted on this?
the ones that didn't pay are not highlighted. The ones that are in white are the ones that didn't pay yet.
That did not pay yet?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's only
Which one's
6 of them.
So it's
Yeah.
each person 3 times?
Yes, yeah, because it's
Gotcha.
3
That's
bills,
why.
yep.
Okay.
So that's fine. I'll go back to the association and I'll have them, let them know that they need to pay these, that the homeowners need to pay these couple of bills.
Although what happened with George Taylor, he's only there once.
No, well, so that was a cert that was done. So we'll get that money. That's $15. I'm not talking about that one.
I know it's not gonna break.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so, because we were doing the certs on these because we had the accounts. Usually, we don't do certs on condos because it's paid by the association.
Is there any way these guys are just, like, there's nobody there? You know, like they rent this place and then,
It could be, it very well could be. That's why I'm gonna call the association and
Maybe
have
they'll
them,
know
have them
how
do
to
it.
contact them too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
So-
fine. I just needed direction on that.
Oh,
What
just
to-
direction,
What to do
okay.
Are,
with the back bills.
are we doing stormwater certs as well for
Well,
property transfers?
yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I kind of thought we were. but just
and
wanted to make
that's why I was doing the ones on this particular condo,
Right.
because this is the only condo that was being billed that way.
sure.
So now we have a standard billing way for all condos?
Now, all condos are being billed by the association.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And the next one, as we're heading into audit season, we have an engagement letter from Brickner Simpson.
And it's not to exceed 50,000. I don't know if it says that in the letter, but I talked to Kathy, and it's not to exceed 50,000.
This is an annual audit?
Yes.
So we got the other, what was the other audit we got in November? Or whatever it was? There was another audit that we,
I remember the other
Yeah, we got
audit.
the-
Somebody
got the-
came in and explained.
yeah, right, someone came to explain, this is a different one?
I think it's the
This
same
is
one.
the same one.
So they just, it takes them 11 months to give us the results, I guess?
Well, unfortunately, last year, we had a few issues
Okay,
with
okay.
the insurance claim and other things, so it took a little longer to get it done.
Okay.
We try to have it done before June 30th, because that's when I have to file my report with DCED.
Okay.
Even though if you don't file your report by December, or by June 30th, there is no fines or anything, we still like to have it in by June 30th if we can.
The engagement letter says the estimate is $50,000.
Yeah.
It
If
doesn't
you
say
want
up
to make it a
to.
do not exceed.
I would like the do
You
not
can do, and then we'll just let them know that it's a do not exceed
Yes,
number.
and that's what I-
Which
yep.
essentially means if they are going to exceed it, they need to come back to you to get
Permission.
approval.
Yeah,
How many years have they done it for us? Do we know?
they've been doing it before me, so before 2018. I'm not sure how long before that she was here.
As I'm getting older, my memory is getting weaker, but yeah, I think they've probably been here at least,
I feel like they were here for right after the 2009, if
Yeah.
not around it,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking too.
I feel like they were here around
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah, I would like the language to not exceed. And it doesn't, I mean, the scope looks like it's around, it's the same.
Turn your microphone on, please, sorry.
My microphone is on. You can't hear me?
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. I don't usually get told you can't hear me. I usually get told I'm too loud.
Can't hear myself.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I mean, how often would anyone recommend us to bid it out? I don't necessarily think we should, but I don't know what's, and the other question is like, who does the borough use? Do they use similar or, I don't even.
We don't use Brinker Simpson at the borough.
Okay. But,
so when the whole Enron thing happened 20 years ago, They kind of recommended that you switch out your auditor like every 3 to 5 years. I think that doesn't really apply with smaller, and I'm not saying just in terms of volume, but smaller amount of accounts that we have. We don't have the number of accounts that the borough has, or even at a larger township, or God forbid, we're talking about a school district. It's, the reason you want to switch it out is you don't want them to become just sort of routine. They're looking at the same thing. So anybody who's trying to defraud you knows, oh, just move it over into this account. But we have so few accounts that I don't think it's nearly, it's not recommended nearly as it is for larger entities. And I think people have started to move away from the Enron thing because that was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to that, so.
And the 2024 audit will include the stormwater that we started doing in 2024, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Do you remember what it cost us last year?
40,000.
Any other questions?
I am curious of, like, I know it might not be prevalent to be putting it out for bid, but it has been quite a while then, if it was 2009. Like, what's the harm in just looking into it?
How easy is it to put out the bid, maybe?
Put together an RFP. It doesn't have to go out to bid. This doesn't have to go to the lowest bidder. This is a professional service. Putting together an RFP for auditing services would probably not be very, very difficult.
Do we have the right time frame to turn it around then? It has to be filed by June?
By June.
I would think we would.
Do you have any interest in doing that, or I mean, how?
I mean, we can.
Yeah,
I mean,
just,
I'm not,
what are you thinking on it?
it doesn't hurt to do that if you want to do that before we make the,
Yeah, let's do that. It sounds
If I
like,
had a bill that went up $10,000, I'd be looking
well,
around too.
we did initially say 50,000 last year too.
Okay,
That was
that's
our
helpful.
not to exceed last year.
Okay. So it's good to know that they came in under.
Yeah, yes. So I'm okay with the RFP. If you want to do that, we should do it as soon as possible.
It'd be best, if you're gonna do this, by no later than March, making a decision.
Yeah. So it's up to you.
So we can get the RFP together in the next couple days. We can send it out to, the various auditing firms that do this sort of work. The idea would be that we could hopefully have it back by around our February meeting. You could review them at that point in time and then put it on the agenda for March to make an appointment, so.
Would you tell Brinker Simpson that we're doing this?
Yep.
Okay, so they give them a chance to firm their price up as well, type of thing?
Yep. And I think what you may find is that Brinker may, in their RFP response, may give you a little bit more of a narrative about why their cost is a little bit different than maybe some else that you may see. They do a little bit more of a deeper dive sort of audit than, but that's why it's an RFP.
Yeah.
You can decide who you want and who you don't want, so.
yeah. All right, let's go with that. That's your guidance.
Okay, we'll wait.
Then that completes my report, other than we have a minor executive session to go over a few personnel issues.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion on the executive director's report, do I have a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, that concludes our general business session this evening, and we will break and go into executive session to talk about personnel matters.
Do you want to adjourn before we go to executive?
I think we can end the meeting, right? Once I
We
get
can.
that on
No
the
action,
record?
Yeah, on either
Okay.
of these items.
Make a
Okay.
motion to
Did that
end the
person
meeting.
respond?
So I have a motion to end our
I'll second it.
meeting. I have a
Okay.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
John,
opposed?
for dinner?
Oh, yeah.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.